Former Prime Minister Dame Eugenia Charles, our first guest on Marpin's new program, Under Fire. While in government for 15 years, her Dominica Freedom Party did what it felt was best for the country and its people. But like any other administration, the DFP came in for its fair share of criticism. In and out of public life, Dame Eugenia remains a prominent figure. Ms. Charles, welcome to Under Fire.
More as a fighter than as a healer. What do you think about that?
Well, in Dominica, you have to be a fighter, otherwise you wouldn't get anywhere. There are things to heal too, but certainly it was important to be able to go out and get the things that Dominica required. I remember the time we came in. It came after the two hurricanes, the Hurricane Labour and the Hurricane David. And so it was a difficult time, and you had to fight. And you had to fight with donors to get the things you required for your country because you didn't have all the money yourself.
If we can ask you a few political questions now. In the 70s, while sitting on the opposition benches, you got a lot of flack, a lot of insults from people like Vic Revere, Patrick John. Have you been able to forgive them?
Oh yes, I did. I never held any grudge against them. I knew they were being stupid. I knew it was the ignorance that was making them behave that way. And you know, I didn't sit silently by. You know, I gave as good as I got. I was able to respond, and I suppose I prevented me from having any build-up of dislike in me.
But did all political parties get involved in campaigning to try to win people over?
I'm not talking about campaigning and buying. I'm talking about giving people gifts at the time. Having starved them for 5 years, giving them gifts to make them better off.
You've never done it yourself, Ms. Charles.
But
when I go house to house, I wouldn't even carry money with me.
What do you mean by giving gifts? Because I mean, if when the election is coming is when a lot of programs are put on track. In a way, it's not.
No, I don't mean that. I mean, obviously, there are programs that they wanted to do, and if they found the money at the end of the term, there's no reason why they shouldn't do it, and it's the benefit of Dominica. And I don't mean that. I don't mean
it. So are you talking about setting people up?
I mean, actually giving people money to make sure that they vote for them.
But do you have evidence of that?
I don't have evidence of that now because the time hasn't come. I'll be watching for it. I'll be going house to house and finding out who's getting what.
You're saying that your Freedom Party was never involved in this?
No, I don't know. I think it's wrong. I think it takes away from the whole idea of democracy. People are supposed to elect the leaders to carry out policies which they've asked the leaders to put in place, or which leaders have pointed out require putting in place for them. One of the reasons I particularly wanted Brian Alleyne in at that time as Attorney General was because I knew that no matter what happened, we could not win an election with a list that had been compiled by the Labour Party. I knew that much. And I was able to talk to the leaders in the other islands with whom I had made good friends, even though I was only in opposition. And I was insisting that we must have people who can bring in the Barbadians to help us to set up a proper election system.
You're off all over the place giving talks, talking about Dominica and so on, and various other issues, but a lot about Dominica. Do you think that any of these activities undermine the work that the present government is trying to do?
No, because I imagine they're trying to build up Dominica, and what I'm trying to do in the talks I have is to make Dominica get things it needs. So I think that they should be glad that I'm able to talk on behalf of Dominica for the benefit of Dominica.
Well, would you say there's a conflict of interest, that you don't like the government yet?
I don't like the government, but Dominica doesn't belong to them. Dominica belongs to all of us.
The point is,
we have to do everything we can, each of us, to make sure Dominica is a better place to go.
Don't you think that perhaps the stadium in the long run could have made a lot of money for Dominica?
No. Because for you to make a lot of money, you have to have the ability to bring in people.
Don't you
and
think
you still haven't got the ability to bring in people.
Don't you think it could have? What's your take today on the kind of salary increases being offered by the present administration? They seem to be pretty low.
Well, I don't think they have the money to offer higher, quite frankly. But I think it's a little difficult when they say they can't pay more than 2%, is it, to civil servants, that they should think of increasing their salaries at the time. I think that is where I take issue with them. That if you haven't got the money, you haven't got the money for yourself either, you know.
What about legislation? For example, at the moment, the Sexual Offences Act.
Yeah, well, we had upped the age too, you know. They're going up further, they're going and they're again upping it, or lowering it, as you can say. But we had done that once, and now they're going. But what I want to know is that are they going to prosecute people who break that law? regardless of who they are and what they are in the society. Are they going to do that? That is the important thing.
Implementation. Okay, but I want to ask you very quickly, why can't you just take it easy? You're retired, have the quiet life, and forget about politics and everything.
Well, I've finished about politics, but I cannot live and see things being done wrong, not comment on it. I mean, after all, I'm a taxpayer, so I have to comment on it.
We'll leave it at that. Dame Eugenia Charles, our very first guest on Mappin's new program, Under Fire.